What I'm suggesting that you do is that when you show up to the firehouse, you expect that you're going to go to a fire. And that you expect that the fire that you're going to go to is going to be the worst fire you're ever going to go to in your life. And then I would like to do some things now to be ready for it. But so many people just show up to a firehouse and they sit in the firehouse for 24 or 48 hours doing next to nothing. Doing next to nothing to get ready for what could be the worst moments of their lives. It's ridiculous. And then they want to cry about it when something bad happens. I tell my guys at work, calls aside, you can do everything I expect you to do in a day in less than 3 hours. Check your rigs, do a workout, do a drill. Other than that, run your calls. Unless we have a special event that day, that's really what I want from you. You can do, it's like stealing money. It's stealing money, isn't it, right? You can do everything I want you to do before lunchtime. And then all I want you to do after that is go if somebody calls 911. It's stealing money. You know what I mean? It's great. But, there are some people out there that can't even bring themselves to do that. They want to negotiate with you. They want to, they washed the rig yesterday, right? Oh, you want me to pull hose off the rig today? I've done that a million times. It's way too much work. We don't need to be doing that today. We were talking about this a little bit at dinner last night, right? Too hot, right? You think you get to go to work at McDonald's, right? And be like, man, look, boss, I don't think I'm going to turn the fryer on today. Because if nobody comes in and orders fries, if nobody orders fries today, I'll have wasted all that time and all that oil getting the fryer ready and nobody ordered fries. You think that's going to fly? Right? You think you get to go to work at the XYZ packaging factory and as a shelf stocker, and you get to go in and tell your boss, I really kind of want to just sit in this chair and play on TikTok for 5 hours. I don't really feel like putting boxes on the shelves today, but I'd still like you to pay me. Where in the world did we start thinking that in the fire department we can show up and start negotiating what we're going to do? I don't know where that's happened, but it's somewhere people have let that ball got a little too far, and it's lazy. It's lazy, right? It's lazy and it's complacent. Right? It's saying, I don't need to worry about it because I think I'm already good enough and nothing bad's probably going to happen today. Why is this stuff selfish? That's right. And when they have that fire today, and their loved one is trapped in that fire, do they get to choose which fire department shows up? They don't get to go, oh shit, honey, the house is on fire, and they go open the yellow pages because phone numbers used to be in a book too, right? And oh shit, well Rutland's having a 2-for-1 bedroom fire special. Call them. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to choose. Nobody other than maybe firefighters thinks about which fire district they live in when they buy a house. But everybody that owns a house in America thinks what? Wherever it is they live, they could be in the middle of nowhere, wherever it is they live, they think that somewhere in a room there's a bunch of selfless heroes waiting on go that will come put their fire out and save their family member. That's what they think. Right? And you're all they got. You're all they got. When that bell rings tonight, you're all they've got. And the outcome for them will be life-changing and irreversible and entirely dependent on what you are or are not ready to do for them. Right? And I just think that to sit in that big, pretty building with the Maltese cross on it, with the doors rolled down, what does everybody think? What do all the kids think when they drive by that building? I'm good. They got me. Something happens, they got me. And to provide that false hope while you're sitting in there at 8:05 a.m. asleep with your TikTok feed still open, and you can't even bother to check the fire truck, let alone get out there and drill on something and let that poor kid think you got him, I just think is the most selfish thing in the world. If my house is on fire and my daughter is trapped in that fire, this is who I want showing up. You get what I'm saying? We are storming the beaches of Normandy. H-hour, D-Day. They didn't send a platoon over to Omaha Beach to see what they had. You know what I'm saying? But we have fire departments that constantly get calls for houses on fire, and we want to send 4, 5, 6, 7 guys to go check it out before we wake up the neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Storm the beach. When somebody calls and they says their house is on fire, believe them and act accordingly. I'm asking you to do what you signed up to do, and that is act like a firefighter. Put all of your shit on and take the tools off the fire truck. That's what we're asking you to do, right? But what we have is a lot of firefighters that want to negotiate with the McDonald's manager about, well, I don't want to turn the fryer on. What if they don't order fries today? I don't want to pull the attack line off of the rig. You know, what if it's not a fire? I'll have done work. I mean, what are we doing? What are we, I said at dinner last night, you know what is really crazy to me? There are fire departments out there that even allow that conversation. You think there is any other private sector employer out there that allows their employee to negotiate which part of their job description they're going to do while they're getting paid to do it? Right? I'm happy to explain, to discuss, right? To talk about why we do what we do, but at the end of that conversation, you know what we're going to do? Our job. And our job is to act like, you know, when somebody calls and says their house is on fire or their kid's not breathing or whatever the call is, to act like that's what's happening and to do the things that are necessary. And I'll talk more about this in a little bit, but, you know, when somebody calls and says their house is on fire, send enough people, get the hose off the fire truck, ladders up, gloves on your hand, tools in your hand, you know, and hustle. Act like you would act if it was your address that just came across the radio. You know what I'm saying?